Are you ready to learn the top management tools when it comes to working with your virtual assistant? Now, if this is your first time on my channel, my name is Lai. I run a virtual assistant company here in the Philippines named 2XU, and I post videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have business from home. So make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos. Now, as a disclaimer, a lot of the tools that I'm going to be telling you guys aren't actually even software tools or physical tools. These are more kind of management frameworks that you can keep in mind when it comes to managing your virtual assistant. Now, if you've never managed a virtual assistant before, I would love to break that down of what that looks like for you so that it's going to be easier for you once you are working with them. So of course they stay with you for the long term, and working together won't be as much of a headache as it usually would be. Now, the first framework I want to go with you guys is actually called the 2XU formula, and it's something that I came up with when 2XU was still a course before we turned it into an agency. So what it is, it's basically when you're working with your assistant, keep in mind three things. One is you guys are working towards the right tasks. You know what the right tasks are is basically you knowing what your value is as an entrepreneur and then delegating the rest. So what this could look like is having really good task management systems, delegation systems, so on and so forth. So again, you guys always have the top of mind, what are things that one is supposed to be doing versus what is going to be supposed to be delegated or given to someone else. The second part of that formula is systems. So I talk a lot about setting up rate procedures on this channel, and for a good reason. It's mostly because you want to have systems in place so you can easily automate things. You can easily make sure that things get done in the same way over and over again, and that's usually through documentation. You're streamlining that process. And the third part of that formula is people, which is basically having the right person to run both the tasks and the systems that you've put in place. So when you're working with your assistant, keep in mind those three. Usually, honestly, whenever a client of ours or an assistant is in trouble, we look at those three factors of like, hey, are you still working on the right tasks? Do you have the systems in place? Or is this person the right person for you? Now, this makes it so much easier for us to know if the person is a good fit for the client or not. And if you're looking for a virtual assistant, of course, go ahead and go to 2xu.com/scorecard so we can assess basically to see if you're ready for one. Next is the 1 Minute Manager method. Now, this is coming from the series of books, 1 Minute Manager, Self-Leadership in the 1 Minute Manager. There's so many, team leadership in the 1 Minute Manager, and this is coming from the series of books by Ken Blanchard, which I freaking love. I even buy our clients this book every single time just because it is one of the books to read when you are trying to manage someone. So what the 1 Minute Manager is you break it down to three main things that you want to make sure you're doing with your VA. One is 1 minute phrasings. 2 is 1 minute redirects, and 3 is 1 minute goal setting. So going on reverse, what 1 minute goal setting is you're making sure that you're agreeing on the goals for your assistant, whether this is their daily goals, weekly, monthly, ongoing goals for them. It's making sure that it's written down and agreed upon by both parties. That way we know what the priorities are. 1 minute redirects is, let's say they're not on track, they're not on the goal. You want to make sure that you are immediate and specific about the redirect that's going on, going ahead and being specific of what they did wrong and how you felt about what happened. And then of course making sure that you end with like, hey, I'm looking forward to improving. I know that this is something a little bit out of character, so I'm looking forward to you getting better at this. And lastly, when it comes to the 1 minute praising is, of course, if they did something really well, making sure that you are as specific as possible, walking them through like how you felt when you saw that they were able to do this, and of course encouraging them to do more of the same. So by following the three different parts of the 1 Minute Manager framework, basically you're able to just have something in the back of your pocket to make sure that your assistant is always on track. One bonus thing that I will mention on the 1 Minute Manager is in the second book that they have, which is the Self-Leadership and 1 Minute Manager, it does talk about how your management style needs to be different at different stages for your assistant. So let's say that you are giving them a very new task, you're going to need to be more directive. You need to give them the, hey, this is where to go, because usually at that point they're very enthusiastic, but they don't know a lot. So you want to guide them through that process. As they start getting more confident, you switch your styles basically to a little bit more coaching, until the very point where you're more now delegative, because they do know what to do and they have the enthusiasm to do it. So it's keeping in mind that you don't have to stick to just one management style. It will evolve depending on what task or project that your assistant is doing. Next thing that I want to walk you guys through as a tool is what we call the WOW method. So the WOW method is something that we also came up with in 2XU. And when you are delegating tasks, you want to keep in mind WOW. So WOW is the why of the task. Why does this need to get done? O is the outcome, and the last W is the who and the what. So what this means is when you're delegating a certain task to your virtual assistant, you want to give them enough context so they know what they're doing and why they're doing it in the first place. A lot of the time we throw tasks to our assistant without giving them context, so they don't know where this places in the whole world of your business. So it's better to be able to explain to them like, hey, I'm giving you this task for this reason. This is the outcome that I'm looking at. And the who basically is these are the people you can contact. These are the resources. Basically, what else do they need to be able to achieve that task or that goal? So the WOW method is basically just a simple way for you to keep in mind when you're delegating especially when it's a very big task or it's a new task, to your assistant to make sure that it actually can get done. Next is a method that I love to use, which is basically, I just call it the GTD method, or the Get Things Done method. This is from the book Getting Things Done by David Allen, which is when you are working with your assistant, you want to have a really good productivity system basically that you both can follow, so then things are a little bit more smooth. So what it is as you're going through the task list or the project list, making sure that you have a place where you can dump things. So what I mean by dump is that you have one place that for new ideas, for new thoughts, for new tasks, there's an easy way for your assistant to be able to sort through, which is the second step, which is basically making sure that any brain dump that you did is sorted to either, is this a task, is this a note, is this a future project, is this actionable or no, is basically the easiest way to think about it. So as an example, for a lot of our clients, they use a tool called Otter to be able to do voice recordings of themselves when they're trying to delegate a task to their assistant or to just make a mental note. So what their assistant can do is they can go through now to the sort portion of it and making sure that things are filed or organized or put into to-do list, put into notes folders basically, so then everything is tracked. The brain is not made to memorize or to store things, so making sure that you have a way where you can dump, like I said, put in ideas, put in thoughts, put in notes to selves, and then having your assistant sort it will make the whole process just a little bit easier. And then making sure that after it's been sorted, making sure that you go through and actually do, especially if there are any tasks that can be done in less than 2 minutes. Then afterwards, if you've gone through all of those tasks, is you prioritize those tasks so then you know when they are coming up, when they're urgent, and when they're important. Speaking of urgent and important, the next tool that I would love for you to use when it comes to working with your virtual assistant is the Eisenhower Matrix. So what the Eisenhower Matrix really is it's a quick way for your virtual assistant themselves to sort basically your tasks and projects that are coming up, especially the ones that doesn't have a deadline. So any task that's urgent and important, that's straight to your to-do. That's something that you want to make sure they actually get done. Any tasks that are not urgent, but it's important, that gets done into your later file and making sure there's an actual deadline. So again, they do come up once they start getting urgent. Any tasks that is urgent but not important, these are usually the tasks you can easily give to your assistant because they're not important to you, but they are urgent. They still need to get done, so you can delegate that to your assistant. And finally, any task or project that is in both the not important and not urgent file, probably assess why that was in the list in the first place. So again, the Eisenhower Matrix just gives you that framework of knowing, and for your assistant also that framework of knowing what are the things that are important to you and what are the things that are urgent, so then things actually get done and nothing falls through the cracks. And finally, one of the biggest tools that you can have in your toolkit when it comes to working with your virtual assistant is basically having check-ins. So what I mean by this is having a regular time that you and your virtual assistant can sync together. So in 2XU, in the first 90 days when it comes to our EA working with their client, we actually recommend that they have a daily sync of even 15 to 30 minutes because it's important to build that relationship right off the bat. And also, this is how you give your assistant context on what is important to you in the business and what are the things that they can take care of. For me and my assistant, almost a year later, we're still doing the daily sync just because it's a quick and easy way to give updates notes. It's also a great space for my assistant to bring things up that happened yesterday. She doesn't have to wait for so long or send it through an email. There's a way for her to just bring things up to me confidently because she knows that that is her time for her to talk to me. What the weekly meetings are in 2XU is basically a way for you to go through, hey, this is what got done last week, and now this is us framing what the next week will look like. So what this means is for me and my assistant, for example, we will go through the wins of the last week, and then we'll also go through then, hey, are these now the priorities for the next week? Yes or no? And I get to redirect her and get her right on track as needed. And finally, the monthly check-ins is just a good retrospective. And for us at 2XU, we use a tool called our Objectives and Key Results, or OKR chart. I'll link an example down below. That was one of the things that other people have asked for. But our OKR chart basically goes through, hey, these were the objectives that we've set for the quarter. Here are the monthly key results that we want to make sure that we hit. And then rating ourselves 1 to 5 if we have been able to hit those numbers that we wanted to hit. So basically what the monthly sync is kind of just redirecting, me and my assistant to make sure that we are the right tasks, because what shows up on those objectives and key results are the main things that will be looked at every single week, which of course then reflects on the daily. So that is basically what check-in system is. It's just a predicted way that you and your assistant can sync up, especially as things get busy in the business. There's a way for them to communicate with you without them feeling like they have to schedule another call, because it's all just in one place already. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below what other management tools are you using. I would love to know more. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!